Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. And tonight, we got a big show in store for you tonight. Normally at this time of the year, it's a little bit on the slower side, but tonight we cannot say that because it is a loaded show here tonight. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right on in. And this past Monday night, we crowned new NBA champions. And for the first time in their 47-year franchise history, the Denver Nuggets became the NBA champions. They finished off the Miami Heat in a very thrilling game 5 on Monday night by a final score of 94-89 in front of their home fans at the Ball Arena in Denver. It's the 7th championship for the city of Denver. The Denver Broncos won 3 Super Bowls. The Colorado Avalanche won 3 Stanley Cups. And now the Denver Nuggets added an NBA championship to that list. The only team to win the Rockies, although they have been to a World Series, and that was back in 2007 before they lost to Michael Bullock's Boston Red Sox. But anyways, the Denver Nuggets, a very impressive postseason run. They finished with a record overall of 16-4, and in the first round, they took care of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They defeated them in 5 games, and then in the second round, they got tested a bit by the Phoenix Suns. In that series, they won the first 2 games, and then the Suns evened the series at 2 before Denver games 5 and 6 to put that series away, and then a clean 4-game sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, and then a 5-game series win over the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals to win their first ever NBA championship. And it is without a doubt the greatest moment in Denver Nuggets history. You know, for so many years, everybody thought that the greatest moment in Denver Nuggets history was that 1994 first round upset of the Seattle Supersonics, where that iconic shot of Dikembe Mutombo holding the basketball and with a very emotional Dikembe Mutombo with that. And you think about everything this team has been through, their final year in the ABA, they went to the ABA finals, but they were defeated by the then New Jersey Nets in 6 games in 1976. They went to the NBA in the 76-77 season, and their first 3 years, they had winning records. Then they had a couple of losing records, and then they started winning again. And they had some decent years in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. But they then had a very long stretch of subpar records, and including back-to-back years where they were the 8th seed in the Western Conference. And then from 1996 all the way to 2003, for a good 8 or so years, they had a losing record, including a very dismal 11-71 record in 1998. But since the mid 2000s, they slowly got better again. They started having winning records again, and they had a nice long stretch where they made the playoffs. And then they followed that up by making the playoffs like 10 or 11 consecutive years after that, which was amazing. And then they started losing again, and then they've had winning records, and they've had a winning record for the last, I believe, 6 or 7 years. But one year they just missed the playoffs, but they've made the playoffs the last 5 years. And this year they finished as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they won they win it all for the first time in franchise history. Very exciting to think about, and a unanimous MVP without a doubt in Nikola Jokic. I mean, he absolutely dominated that series. And I mean, the numbers that he put up in these playoffs, he became the first player in NBA history to lead the league in points, rebounds, and assists, all in a single playoff year. That's never been done before. He had, listen to these numbers, 20 total games. He scored 600 points, 269 rebounds, and 190 assists, averaging just about a triple double almost every game. And that just goes to show you that Nikola Jokic might be the best foreign player. He is the best foreign player in the game today. There is no doubt about that. And then you think about Jamal Murray. You think about what he's been through. I mean, a couple of years ago, he tore his ACL. And, the Nuggets very easily could have given up on him, but they didn't. And you saw that emotional moment where Jamal Murray was talking with the owner of the Nuggets, Stan Kroenke, and he said, "You never gave up on me," and he told him how grateful he was to Kroenke and the Nuggets organization for not giving up on him despite that gruesome injury. And here he is now as an NBA champion. And there's nothing I love more than seeing a team that's for many years down on their luck and somewhat of a laughing stock. And now they've gone from laughing stocks and losers to NBA champions. And they most assuredly deserve it. I am beyond thrilled for this team. And, you know, I never thought, I honestly thought, I never ever thought in my lifetime I would ever see the Denver Nuggets win an NBA championship. But alas, here they are as NBA champions, well deserved NBA champions. And on behalf of all of us here at TXN Sports World, we want to take this moment to send our congratulations out to Stan Kroenke, Coach Michael Malone, the Denver Nuggets organization, and most importantly, the Denver Nuggets players who busted their ass day in and day out. And if you do that, and if you bust your ass night in and night out, dreams will indeed come true. And for the Denver Nuggets, their dream finally became true as they became the NBA champions this past Monday night. And it was a thrill to see that. And I mean, to see a team win a championship is one thing, but to see them do it in front of the home fans, that's even more special. And oh, what a moment that was for them. They had their victory parade earlier this afternoon, and what a sight it was. And congratulations to them. They damn sure deserve it. Hell of a job. Enjoy it, guys. And we're going to hear more from them next year. There is no question about that. They're going to be right up there as far as early favorites go. So I don't know what else there is to say except good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. The Denver Nuggets, laughing stocks for many years. A lot of teams, a lot of losing records for so many years. And now here they are in 2023. The Denver Nuggets are finally NBA champions. And MF, as I give it to you, I got to ask, I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. Did you ever, in your lifetime, ever think you'd see the day where the Denver Nuggets would actually win an NBA championship? I certainly didn't.
No, I think we all can agree with Denver winning that title. It was one of the more fairy tale type runs, but the thing was, and I kind of believe, and I think you would even agree with this, they were the better team going in. The way that they were playing, the camaraderie that they had a two-headed monster, and that was when you go into it and you think about it. This was all about one thing and one thing only, and that was all about you know Joker. When you got that going, but then Jamal Murray. Murray had an incredible playoffs. Um, and he was the Robin to Nikola Jokic's Batman, and they were so good. But the thing was, every time, and especially in these NBA finals, then all of a sudden you had Aaron Gordon have a big game. Bruce Brown had an amazing game. He was very clutch in the end. As a matter of fact, he hit the two clutch free throws that iced the NBA Finals and won the championship for the Denver Nuggets. So it was really, it wasn't just two men that dominated, and yeah, they played great, but it was a role team. And the thing was, There is no major superstars. There is no one guy that's gonna leave the rest. No, at the end of the day, when you see how this played out and the way that this was, and I even admitted, and I even was talking to a few of the guys from my 2184 crew, the one thing that was really making me think, and I really had to say, was they were very reminiscent of the San Antonio Spurs when they were winning the NBA titles, or even the Detroit Pistons, the Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, the Richard Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, that team when they won the NBA championship. Um, at the end of the day, you see the lay of the land and the body of work, and with everything that they did. Look, you know, I think Michael Malone even he did an interview on the Pat McAfee show. They could have fired him year 3, year 4, but they didn't. Stan Kroenke decided, you know what? I'm going to give you the chance. I'm going to stay. I believe in you. You got it. We'll give you all the opportunities that you need. He trusted him for 8 years. 8 years. And this was the outcome they got. If you're a member of this team, of that moment, and everything else, you got to give a lot of credit to Michael Malone and to Stan Kroenke. Now I know Stan Kroenke gets a big rap, especially after the way he treated the city of St. Louis with the Rams after they got let go and they moved to Los Angeles. But think about this: after that move, he's now Stan Kroenke as an owner now has a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche, an NBA World Championship, a Major League Lacrosse Championship, and he's won a Super Bowl. If anything you can say, that is without a doubt that Stan Kroenke has now become one of the premier owners in professional sports. Now, obviously, the questions become, what do they do? When you win the championship, how are they going to build off that? Can they maintain that? Now, I'm going to say this, that really financially, they like to not spend a lot of money. They like to build within, build from the ground up, and then work their way up to that next level. Now, will that be the right thing to do? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But right now, the toast of the town is literally the Denver Nuggets. And now you're starting to hear the same thing. Do we have a dynasty on our hands? Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are locked up for years to come. So definitely, you can definitely see that. Could they make a run? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. They are definitely within the range that they could make a run, but we'll have to wait and see. To me, this team deserves to be where they are today. They deserve to be the NBA World Champions because they did it the right way. Fundamentally, team wise, organizational wise, from the top down, they never gave up. The only time that they kind of fell flat was that game 2 when they lost to Miami. Even though it was a close game, they lost. And Michael Malone pretty much called his team out. He basically was like, "Hey, we did not have the focus. We didn't play great. We didn't, we let that game get away." Sure enough, if you think about it, if they did not lose that game 2, we might be talking about a 4-0 sweep in the NBA Finals. It's very possible. It could have happened, but but the thing was, what did they need to do? They shut down Bam Adebayo. They made a lot of the players, the role players for Miami, look small in the NBA Finals. Butler, pretty much the only time he really kind of got away was around fourth quarter. But relatively speaking, he was very pedestrian in these NBA Finals. There's nothing more to say. The right team won. The most deserving team won this world championship, and you cannot be any more happier for a team like Denver, who, like you said, been down on their luck for a number of years. But the thing was, they were getting there. You know, when Carmelo Anthony led the team, they made a couple of Western Conference Finals. Then they had Chauncey Billups in his tail end of his career, and he actually did pretty well. And but the thing is, the minute they brought Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, they started off on the bench. They were role players. They were not starters. But the admiration, the body of work, and them just working and getting to where they needed to be. And now here they are at the top of the NBA ladder. And there's no doubt about it, man. The sky is the limit for this team. Um, there's really nothing more to add. Michael Bullock, an incredible story, an incredible run that was culminated by the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship for the first time in their franchise history.
Yeah, what can you say? I mean, this was definitely, I mean, the most, I mean, when it, I mean, the Denver Nuggets, what can you say? I mean, for 47 years, prior to this season, I mean, many fans in Denver always say, when are we going to see our team finally not only get to an NBA Finals, but win it all? And this was the year because, I mean, look at this team. And they, they were just so dominant in this NBA Finals. What they did to the Miami Heat. I mean, Nikola Jokic, the Joker. I mean, had probably one of the best playoff runs that I've ever seen. I mean, with all the triple doubles that he had. I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, normally you think of a point guard or some point guard that would have some kind of a triple double. But this is a center, and some of the things he does, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, some of the shots he takes is ridiculous, and that's why he once won back-to-back MVPs, and you basically saw why. And Jamal Murray, I mean, the journey this guy has gone through, like you said, a torn ACL. He didn't know if he was ever going to get a chance to see this, and now he has, and he contributed big, including a triple double in Game 3 of that series, and other guys contributed, like you said, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown. I mean, the right team won this series. I mean, look, give credit to the Miami Heat for the run that they went on. I mean, look, they beat the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. They beat the New York Knicks in the semifinals, and then of course against my team, the Celtics, the number 2 seed. Every single time, I mean, nobody was giving this Miami Heat team any chance at all in the playoffs. And it's like they use this as a motivational thing. That it's like, hey, you know what? We're the underdogs here. We're just going to go out and play our game and see what happens. And that's exactly what happened. And just for them to get to the NBA, and they're only the second number 8 seed to have ever made the NBA Finals. The last one and the only one, the 1999 New York Knicks. But they just ran into a much better team, a more complete team in the Denver Nuggets. I mean, like you said, the 7th World Championship that city of Denver has seen, with the Broncos' 6 Super Bowl titles. I mean, 3 Super Bowl titles. The Colorado Avalanche's 3 Stanley Cups, and now they have an NBA championship. Now, the only thing they need is their Colorado Rockies to win a World Series. They were there in 2007, like you said, Florida, but only to run into the Red Sox. But congratulations to Mike Malone, Nikola Jokic, and the rest of that group, that Denver Nuggets Denver Nuggets organization and to that great fan base there in Denver. I mean, they've waited so long to see their Nuggets finally win an NBA championship. I mean, they were once the laughing stock of the NBA, and well, they're not laughing. Nobody's laughing at them now because they are the NBA champions. Congratulations, Denver. You most certainly deserve this. So, with that being said, Floria, let's move on to another team, but this time in the NHL that we just crowned a champion.
Yes. Before we do that, yes, I want to take this moment to acknowledge the Miami Heat and congratulate them on a great season. Whether you like them or you don't, you damn sure have to respect them after the incredible run they had, becoming only the second 8 seed to go to the NBA Finals. Like Bullock said, the '99 Knicks in that lockout year in '99, the only other team to do it, but they had they unfortunately met the same fate like those '99 Knicks did. They got bulldozed by the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games. So, but anyways, we move on to we go from one first-time champion to another. Monday night, it was all about the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship. 24 hours later, Tuesday night, the Vegas Golden Knights, for the first time in their franchise history, in just their 6th year of existence, Vegas Golden Knights became the Stanley Cup champions. They won the Stanley Cup this past Tuesday night, defeating the upstart Florida Panthers in 5 games. And they did it. And MF, in the immortal words of Gorilla Monsoon, you know I got to do it. They did it in grand style. Oh, did they do it in grand style? Putting away the Panthers in a 9-3 beatdown, which is without a doubt. Before I give it to you, I'll get into that in just a moment. But let's also acknowledge I mentioned about Nikola Jokic being the NBA Finals MVP, the winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy, and the most valuable player of the Stanley Cup playoffs, a Vegas Golden Knights original, Jonathan Marchessault. 13 goals, 12 assists, 25 points, a plus minus of plus 17. Definitely worthy and deserving of those MVP honors. And MF, Doc, the Doc to my Enzo, and the Gary Thorne to my Bill Clement. You know, we've seen a lot of Stanley Cup finals in our days. We've seen a lot of exciting ones. We've seen a lot of not so exciting ones. But I think, and I told, you know, I had a brief chat about this in our messenger chat, and I'm going to spring this on you here. When it comes to Stanley Cup clinching victories, in all the years we have done this, I don't think I or you or any of us did you ever see a more dominant clutch clinching performance for a Stanley Cup, mind you, than what the Vegas Golden Knights did? Because that I consider that now the most dominant cup clinching win ever. Book it.
Yeah, that was a dominant performance. 9-3. You could see it, especially in maybe the first or second period of that game, that Vegas just wanted it. Florida just they burned out. They were tired. The injuries started to pile up. We talked about you heard the reports of all the injuries that are coming out now. Like how on earth Florida got to the Stanley Cup final with all that is absolutely astonishing. I cannot wait to hear what the injuries were for the Vegas Golden Knights when they announced what type of injuries they were suffering going into their game, because it was absolutely crazy. It's phenomenal. Like it gives you an absolute respect for any NHL player that they were going through that kind of damage, those kind of injuries, and they were dealing with all that during that 2 month run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Um, Vegas just were the better team. They absolutely played with every type of offense that they did. You know, a lot of people felt like it could have gone wrong after their starting goaltender went down along the way, and then Aiden Hill comes in, and you could have even made an argument that he could have won the Conn Smythe. There was at least four guys on the Vegas Golden Knights that could have won the Conn Smythe Trophy. Aiden Hill, Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, and the one who eventually won it, Jonathan Marchessault. So those four guys alone made the reason why Vegas got to where they were. It was incredible. It was dominating. They were not relenting. You know, a lot of people were concerned about the way that they played going in. Yes, I know there's been a lot of hate for Vegas. I don't know why. There's a lot of hate for Vegas because I think it is because of the fact that the NHL, when they did this entry draft, when they did that expansion draft, and that they made a team that gave them a really good chance to really dominate. And look at what they did. First year in, they make it to the Stanley Cup final. 6 years in, they're champions. So, I mean, Vegas is without a doubt become one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League. And for the Florida Panthers, hey, hats off to you guys. You were amazing. Everybody had you left for dead against the Boston Bruins. You came back, you won that series, and then had a magical run. Dumping Toronto, dumping Carolina, two teams that a lot of people thought were better than Florida going in. And they dumped them out so fast, it wasn't even funny. They ran into a juggernaut. They were the 8th seed. They looked like the 8th seed, but the injuries and just the mental and physical fatigue that they had nothing left in the tank, guys. And that's why what we saw is what we saw. Congratulations, Vegas Golden Knights. Congratulations to Bruce Cassidy, the head coach, and to the ownership and the management and all the guys, man, because you wanted this so bad. And the thing was, they were not afraid. They went out and got the players. They did what they needed to do to get Jack Eichel, to get Alex Pietrangelo, to get the guys. Jonathan Quick is a Stanley Cup champion again. He was the backup. You know, to do all that, to make these moves, and to put the right pieces together with the originals, with the misfits, as they were being known as, to bring that new blood in, to bring the core together, to bring in Bruce Cassidy, to run this group. And you know what? The same thing was happening. The same rumors that we were hearing coming from Boston, it was happening again. Being hard on some of the players, being hard on the rookies. But they bought into the system, and lo and behold, they are now the best hockey team in the world right now as the Stanley Cup champions. So there's really nothing more to say. Congratulations to the Vegas Golden Knights. Tip of the cap to the Florida Panthers for an incredible Stanley Cup run. Michael Bullock, it is yours.
Yeah, what can you say about the Vegas Golden Knights? I mean, what a run this has been for them. I mean, like you said, the first year when they had that expansion draft, we all thought that this team was going to be a meh team. All they did in their first year as an expansion team was go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And now here it is 6 years later, they finally get it done, and they are the Stanley Cup champions. I mean, they were the most dominant team in that conference, and they are just the second fastest franchise to win the Stanley Cup. 6 years. The only team that did it faster was the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, they did in, I think it was 5 years. Am I correct on that, Florio?
Yes, that was their fifth year of existence, 1984, and that's when they had a super team of super teams, man. Oh, really tough to beat. Gretzky,
Yeah.
Messier, Coffey, Murray. How are you going to beat that? You couldn't.
And what can you say about that? I mean, this ownership group, when they first purchased this team, and they've made it into a team that Vegas can be proud of, and they are certainly proud of. And how ironic is this, guys? Bruce Cassidy, who is the coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights, wins the Stanley Cup on the 1 year anniversary of when he got fired by the Boston Bruins. I mean, and it's for the same reason, like you said, with those reports you're hearing from what's going on in Vegas. I mean, he was being hard on the players, and the Bruins, they just couldn't take it, and they marched up to ownership group saying, "We can't take this guy anymore. Fire him." And they did, and like you said, he did the same thing with the Golden Knights players. But the thing was, they bought into what Bruce Cassidy was preaching, and they reward him with a Stanley Cup championship. I mean, think about this, guys. I mean, can you imagine what Bruins fans must be thinking right now? The coach they fired 1 year ago is now holding the Stanley Cup after the Bruins had one of the most historic regular seasons under their new coach, and they lose in the first round, and yet Bruce Cassidy is holding the Stanley Cup. Can you imagine what the Bruins fans and the Bruins organization must be thinking right now? They're probably like, did we make a mistake here?
Mm.
Fletch, you got something to say?
There has been some reports, and normally when I jump in like this, normally I got some bombs I'm about to drop, but it was the players that got Bruce Cassidy out. It was Bergeron, it was Krejci, it was Marchand. They absolutely went to Don Sweeney and to Cam Neely and said, it's either us or him. And if he was to stay on as the head coach, we want out. And they agreed, and they got rid of Cassidy. I think Sweeney and Neely's thinking, damn, we should have gotten rid of the players. We should have, maybe they're thinking now that maybe the real problem were the players themselves and not Cassidy overall. But again,
And the thing is, Fletch, and there's a certain guy in New England who probably would agree with all the things you said, and it was Michael Felger. He even said that the players were being a bunch of softies, and that they like a bunch of little pussies, and said, "Oh, we can't handle what Bruce Cassidy is doing. Either get rid of him or we want out." So they said. So Michael Felger, he says the same thing like you said. He blames the players for the reason why Bruce Cassidy is out and why he's holding the Stanley Cup right now, not the Bruins.
And the funny thing is that now all of a sudden, listen to this. Patrice Bergeron, there's uncertainty about his future. But I've been told by a very reliable source that if Bergeron goes, there's talk that Marchand retires.
Whoa.
So there's that going on. Then there's uncertainty about Taylor Hall because they don't know if he's going to come back or not. So Taylor Hall's now become a question, and there's actually a rumor about a potential trade that might happen where you might lose one of your goalies, either Olmark or Swayman might be on their way out. So, like I said, there's a lot of bombs that's being dropped right now that I heard from a very reliable source that this could be happening. It's a domino effect. With Cassidy winning the Stanley Cup, and with everything that might be happening, if Bergeron comes back, I think Marchand comes back. If Bergeron goes, then we start watching Marchand. If he goes, now you got a major issue because then you got to think about how are you going to fill Bergeron? Who are you going to replace Marchand with? I heard okay. Here's the one thing I've actually heard, and I don't know if you guys heard this too. The one possible rumor I heard, they might be dipping into the well of the Edmonton Oilers. And there's two players that they're looking at. Obviously, Connor McDavid is not in the cards. There's no way they're gonna get Connor McDavid. But how would you love to see Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins become Boston Bruins?
Very interesting. But like you said, we gotta wait and see what happens with the
rumors is definitely there. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you never would have thought that with the players wanting Bruce Cassidy gone would become the domino effect for this Bruins team. Because, like you said, I mean, the Bruins had the best regular season ever, and they get ousted in the first round, and right now they're the ones. Right now, Bergeron and those that wanted Cassidy out, right now they probably got to feel like they got egg in their face because Bruce Cassidy is the one who's basically holding the Stanley Cup, and he's basically saying, so you wanted to force me out the door? Well, look who's the laughing. Look who's got the last laugh now, assholes. So this has got to be the sweetest victory for Bruce Cassidy. But all in all, congratulations to the Vegas Golden Knights on winning the Stanley Cup. I mean, but kudos to the Florida Panthers on a run that they had. I mean, they didn't have a chance in any of the other series, but they overcame it. But they just ran into an absolute buzzsaw in the Vegas Golden Knights. But nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours. I mean, how ironic, Florio. 1 year ago, Bruce Cassidy gets fired by the Bruins. Well, basically, the players wanted him gone. And now here it is 1 year later, and he's hoisting the Stanley Cup. How bad this has got to look on them right now.
Oh, they have egg on their face. There is no question about that. And but nonetheless, the Vegas Golden Knights, an equally impressive run like the Denver Nuggets in the NBA. They defeated the Winnipeg Jets in 5 games, and then a pair of 6-game series wins over the Edmonton Oilers in the second round, and then the Dallas Stars in the conference finals. They had the Dallas Stars down 3-0 before Dallas got it won games 4 and 5 to get it to a game 6. But Vegas was like, oh, no, we're not doing this. So we're done with this. We're going to take it to them. And they did. And then if it wasn't for that that small little collapse in Game 3 of the finals, where Florida, pulled one of their vintage gutsy come from behind wins, like we saw them do so many times during this playoff year, especially against Bullock's Bruins. I mean, man, we could have talked about them possibly sweeping, but just like with the Denver Nuggets, they got to do it in front of their home fans at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on Tuesday night. And MF and I, for so many years we've been doing this. We've been covering the Stanley Cup for so many years, and like I said to MF and Bullock, I even said it to you in our messenger chat. For me, for my money, this was the single most dominant Stanley Cup clinching performance by any team I have ever seen. I mean, the last time I saw a performance that dominant, I probably would have to go back to when the Anaheim Ducks won it in 2007, when they took it to the Ottawa Senators in Game 5, beat them down. But this right here was the absolute most dominant performance in a cup clinching scenario. And Aiden Hill, here's a guy who did start in the first round, still went on to win 11 games for the Golden Knights and recorded 2 shutouts in this playoff year. Remarkable. Chandler Stevenson, 10 goals, 10 assists. Mark Stone, the captain, had 11 goals and 13 assists, and he became the first team captain to have a hat trick in a Stanley Cup clinching game since 1922. Can you imagine that? 1922, 101 years. Babe Dye, I believe, was the guy's name. I mean, just incredible. And Jack Eichel, this young stud, he's got a cup. He had those down years in Buffalo. He got traded to Vegas, and he's counting his blessings right about now. He's got a ring now, and Jonathan Marchessault, who's been there through it all. Only fitting that he took home the Conn Smythe, 13 goals, 12 assists in this playoff year. Eichel had only one more point. Eichel led the league in points. He had 26 points, 6 goals and 20 assists for Jack Eichel in these playoffs. And Vegas, what can you say about him? Just absolutely incredible. And their owner, Bill Foley, when they had the when they had the welcome party and all that, he said within 6 years. He says within 6 years we're going to win a Stanley Cup. 6 years. This was the 6th year. And now the most beautiful trophy in all of sports. A trophy that MF and I have jokingly called Excalibur and the Holy Grail. It now resides in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is the second major championship for the city of Las Vegas, because their WNBA team, the Las Vegas Aces, actually won a WNBA championship. And they're going to have a parade, and their victory parade is set for Saturday, MF.
Saturday night.
Oh, Saturday night. Oh boy.
Saturday night. Basically, I think they said around 7 p.m. local time. So I don't know if that's 7 p.m. our time in the East or 7 p.m. their time. That means possibly 10 p.m. East Coast for the parade, and it's going down the Las Vegas Strip.
Oh my!
It is going down the Las Vegas Strip, and I believe the ending. They actually just posted the whole parade route, but they said it's supposed to be at least, I think, a 1 mile, 1 to 1.5 miles down the Vegas Strip, and it's just a straight line down. Then they make a curve to, I think, a plaza. It goes from the Flamingo. Now, if you guys in Vegas, if you go to the Vegas Strip, that's probably where it's gonna be. So I think it goes from there. It goes from the Palisades to the Flamingo, which is that's the Vegas Strip. So that means that Caesar's Palace, that's New York, New York. That's the MGM Grand. That's that whole strip going down there. You'll have everybody going down there, and then I think there's a parade at the Palisades, is where it's going to be held. That's where the grand finale is going to be, and to be nighttime at the Vegas Strip. Oh,
Party of the decade, party of the century.
dude, you thought the pregame performance of the Golden Knights at T-Mobile is something? Imagine what they could do outside Vegas Strip at night
On Saturday night.
on a Saturday night. I mean, yo. I
Oh,
think it might be one of the greatest parades in sports history. And there's been some great ones. The Canyon of Heroes, whenever the Yankees or when the Rangers won, the duck boats for the Bruins and the Patriots and the Red Sox
yep.
and the Celtics when they did their thing. I think the greatest one was the first one when the duck boats actually went into the is it the Charles River in Boston, Bullock? Do you know? Do you know it?
If anybody would know, he would.
He knows Boston by heart. I know it's down by where the Esplanade. That's where they do the Boston Pops fireworks. It's down. It was down that way, and they had like an epic moment. But,
yes, indeed.
So yeah.
Yeah, that is going to be a very interesting scene come Saturday night. I'll say that for sure. So, but nonetheless, congratulations to Bill Foley, Kelly McCrimmon, Bruce Cassidy, the entire Golden Knight organization. Most importantly, so the players, and of course, we would be remiss not to acknowledge the Florida Panthers and NMF. Like I said, it was the best Cinderella story that we've seen in a playoff year that ranks right up there with the likes of the 2006 Edmonton Oilers, 2012 Los Angeles Kings. So there's no doubt about that. So for them to do what they did, lowest ranked team playoffs, knocking off setting Boston Bruins, a Boston Bruins team that won 65 games, had 135 points, were the odds-on favorites to win the Stanley Cup, and then for them to come back from 3-1 down to beat them, and then knock off an upstart Toronto Maple Leaf team that finally got out of the first round for the first time in almost 20 years, almost. Had a reputation of being choke artists, as MF has, coined over the years on our shows. And then sweeping a clean 4-game sweep of a damn good Carolina team, who I thought was the second best team, only behind Boston. They were my second choice to win the Stanley Cup. Vegas will be right around my third choice, but nonetheless, congratulations to them. They most certainly deserve it. I mean, only 6 years in, and here they are as Stanley Cup champions after the most dominant performance, the most dominant clinching performance that I've ever seen in all the years that MF and I have been doing this. So well done. Congratulations. So enjoy it all Saturday night. It's going to be something else. So with that, we're not done with hockey yet. We have one more hockey story, and this is a good one here. We got a coaching hire, and this one is especially good because it concerns myself, MF, and our New York Rangers. The New York Rangers have hired Peter Laviolette as their new head coach. The team announced Tuesday he agreed to a 3-year deal with the Rangers, sources told ESPN. Laviolette has coached 21 years in the NHL and was most recently with the Rangers' Metropolitan Division rival, the Washington Capitals, last year. The Capitals did not renew Laviolette's contract after they missed the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the Rangers will be the 5th team Laviolette will have coached within that Metropolitan Division. He also had stints with the Carolina Hurricanes, who he took to a Stanley Cup in 2006, the New York Islanders, and of course the Philadelphia Flyers, who he took to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2010 before they lost to Chicago. So, so I don't know what else there is to say here. Michael Bullock, if I don't know if you stepped away or anything, or if you're if you're back with us. All right, there you are. Michael Bullock, we'll start it with you before MF and I give our 2 cents on it. But Peter Laviolette, the new head coach of the New York Rangers. How's that sound?
I think this is a good hire. I mean, we've seen what Peter Laviolette can do as a coach. I mean, especially what I know about it, of course, because it was a long time ago when Peter Laviolette was the coach of the Providence Bruins and led them to the Calder Cup championship. So yeah, that's a trip down memory lane. So I'm interested to see what happens. I think this is a good hire. Whether it transitions to good things, we'll have to wait and see. So I'm just going to give this to you, Florio, for your 2 cents on this.
All right. All right, just give me one moment here. Okay. With 752 career wins, Peter Laviolette is the 8th winningest coach in NHL history and has the most wins of any American-born coach. He coached Carolina to the Stanley Cup in 2006 and has taken 2 other teams to the Stanley Finals, the Philadelphia Flyers in 2010 and the Nashville Predators in 2017. Peter's impressive resume, which includes winning a Stanley Cup and advancing to the final with 3 different teams, has made him one of the most respected coaches in the league, owner James Dolan said in a statement. As we move forward in our goal to consistently contend for the Stanley Cup, I am confident that Peter is the right coach, the right head coach to lead our team. The Rangers parted with Gerard Gallant after a first-round loss to the New Jersey Devils last month. Gallant had led the Rangers to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2022. Gallant was originally in contract with the Rangers to the 24-25 season. The Rangers cast a broad net in their search, but homed in on a veteran coach because the organization believes it can win a championship as soon as next year, sources told ESPN. Among the up-and-coming coaches the Rangers talked to were Spencer Carberry, coach with the Seattle Kraken. The Rangers let go of most of their assistant coaching staff, keeping on longtime goalie coach Benoit Allaire. So Peter Laviolette and general manager Chris Drury will now fill those positions. That's what the sources have said. So I read a lot of comments on social media, and a lot of people on social media are not happy with this hire. I don't understand why. But me being the optimist that I am, and I know MF is just as much of an optimist as I am, considering this is our team, the New York Rangers, who had that magical run to the conference finals 1 year ago, which we'll never forget. I actually like this hire. I mean, I know there's a lot of people slamming this hire, and let me just say it like this. Whether you like the guy or not, at least give him a chance. I'm damn sure giving him a chance. I mean, give me real off his resume. He won the call, like Bullock said, 1999. He took the Providence Bruins to an AHL Calder Cup championship. 2006, he coached the Carolina Hurricanes to a Stanley Cup championship. 2010, he took an underdog Philadelphia Flyer team to the Stanley Cup final before losing to Chicago. And then 2017, did the unthinkable and took the Nashville Predators to the Stanley Cup finals. But they were beaten in 6 by the Pittsburgh Penguins. So this guy has Stanley Cup experience. He's won a cup. He took 2 other teams to the finals. And if there's any guy who could possibly be the one to get it done, I think it is Peter Laviolette. And I am hopeful that this will be the guy that will finally get us over the hurdle, because next year will mark 30 years since this team last won the Stanley Cup, 1994, which for a good 7 years, was considered the most emotionally charged Stanley Cup victory of all time. That was until 2001, when the Colorado Avalanche and Raymond Bourque, and to this day, they're still the most emotionally charged Stanley Cup champion moment of all time. Had Bullocks Bruins won in 2013 after the whole Boston Strong thing, I probably would have considered that the most emotional. But Raymond Bourque always will be the most emotional. But the Ranger win in 94 before that, for a good 7 years, it was the most emotionally charged Cup win of all time. You remember how nuts Gary Thorne went when they won that Stanley Cup. MF went just as crazy as Gary Thorne did. That was our first final together. You know, and it was a thrill. And I'm hopeful that the drought will end after 30 years. I'm going to see this thing go 54 years again. I don't. It doesn't. Anybody who's a New York Ranger fan, damn sure doesn't want to see this thing go 54 years again. We're more than halfway to that right now. We're at 30 now. So we've came close. We had a good run 2012 before it got us. 2014, we had that magical final, which I will never forget for as long as I live, before the LA Kings got us. 2000 following year, 2015, when they had the best record, won the President's Trophy, and got to Game 7 of the conference finals against Tampa Bay before the Lightning ripped our hearts out. And then that same team got us again a year ago. And last year hurt even worse because, we had them down 2-0. And then in Game 3, we had them almost dead to rights. And then Trouba committed those stupid penalties, and that opened the door for those guys. And unfortunately, recovered from it. But it is what it is. So we had another great year this year, but unfortunately, and this one hurts again because we had Jersey down 2-0, but then Jersey came back and won the series. So but if anybody could possibly get this team over the hump, I think Peter Laviolette is the guy that can do it. Whether you like the guy or not, give him a chance. I'm giving him a chance. We'll see how MF feels about it. I'm sure he's going to give him a chance. So that's all there is to say on it. So give it a chance, friends. Give it a chance. So not much more to say on this. I'm for it. So because of his past experience. So MF, we got our guy. We got our man, Peter Laviolette. Can he be the guy to finally get us over the hump? And me personally, I would love to see it done next year, and that would be a fitting tribute to the 30 years, because next year it'll be the 30th anniversary of that Stanley Cup, which I know you'll never forget for as long as you live.
Yeah. It's gonna be very interesting to watch. I mean, it's been a tough sled. It's been a tough haul. Look, I know a lot of people are not happy with that Peter Laviolette is going to be the next head coach of the New York Rangers. I think it kind of caught a lot of people by surprise. I heard through the grapevine that it probably was going to be him. The only reason why that we didn't hear anything more about it was because they were going to wait till after the Stanley Cup was over. There was a couple of guys that they were looking at. The one most notable that I was hearing was if the NHL would have given them the opportunity with Joe Quenneville, the former head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. But Quenneville obviously is still being plagued by a horrific story by one of their players, where one of the coaches of the Blackhawks kind of did something really messed up back in the day, and there was really nothing more to add there. So it was a very disgraceful thing to see, a horrific situation that was done, and it really caused quite a stir and quite a problem, more than anything else. So there's really nothing more to add here. So yeah, it was definitely a very not so great moment. It was definitely nothing more for us to see. I mean, it was a horrible situation. to say the very least. So yeah, there's really nothing more to add here. So yes, uh, look, I wish them nothing but the best. I wish them nothing but the the best of luck for them. And there's really nothing more to add. So yeah, um, we'll wait and see how it plays out. But like you said, let's give him a chance. I think he'll great. I think he'll do great. I think he'll be really good. And like you said, he already has that winner's mentality. He's already had a lot of success, and I hope he does get something really good. So we'll got nothing more to say. So Anthony, it's yours.
And let's just hope that he'll end up being the fourth team that he takes to the finals, like he did with Carolina, Philadelphia, Nashville. So if he can do it for them, he could most certainly do it for us. So, and it would be a fitting tribute to mark the 30th anniversary of that legendary 94 team that won it all and gave us that unforgettable moment. All right, moving on now. We move on to week number 10, the regular season finale of the USFL. I can't believe it's already here, guys. It's unbelievable. So let's run it down. Multiple teams had a chance to punch their tickets to the postseason last week, but the only team to take advantage was good old MF Michael's team, the defending champions, the Birmingham Stallions, who defeated the Houston Gamblers 38-15. And here's some good news for you, MF. Birmingham can clinch the regular season South Division title in Week 10 if it defeats the Memphis Showboats or if the New Orleans Breakers lose to the Houston Gamblers. Meanwhile, in the North Division, no team has clinched a playoff spot, which means all four squads can advance in the USFL playoffs. Week 10 begins on Saturday with a doubleheader at 1 p.m. Eastern between the Pittsburgh Maulers and the New Jersey Generals on the USA Network in what will be the Zonk game of the week. The winner will clinch a playoff spot and could win the regular season North Division title if Philadelphia loses on Sunday. Then at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox, the Birmingham Stallions in the game of the week will try to end the Memphis Showboats playoff hopes. And then on Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. on NBC, the New Orleans Breakers will try to clinch a playoff spot with a win over the Houston Gamblers in the number 2 game of the week. And then finally, to wrap up the USFL regular season in the 3-game, the Philadelphia Stars and the Michigan Panthers will face off at Ford Field for the final spot in the North Division at 7 p.m. on Fox. So let's start it off with our first game, the Pittsburgh Maulers squaring off against the New Jersey Generals. 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday on the USA Network, and the New Jersey Generals opening up as 3.5-point favorites. The Maulers and Generals kept their playoff dreams alive with close wins last weekend. Pittsburgh feasted on the mistakes of Panthers quarterback Josh Love, rolling to a 19-7 win, while New Jersey survived a late fourth quarter scare from Philly to pick up a 4-point win. The Generals look like the team we saw last season as they welcomed DeAndre Johnson back to the starting lineup. Johnson completed 15 of 20 passes for 213 yards and had a 109 QBR. Despite not having any touchdowns, the dual threat quarterback took care of the ball and kept the chains moving. The Generals also got a solid performance from their defense, holding the Stars to 2 of 6 in the red zone and forcing 3 turnovers. If New Jersey can duplicate this defensive output against the Maulers offense that struggles to score 17 points a game, the Generals will be in the postseason. However, don't sleep on Pittsburgh, which has an opportunistic defense. When these two teams played each other in week 2, the Generals won 20-3. We don't envision Saturday's game being a blowout, as the Maulers now have more of an identity on offense than they did in the first meeting. I like the Generals to win outright, and the Maulers, either way, we should look to hammer the under again. So I'm going with the New Jersey Generals to win this game. My final score, 21-18. The New Jersey Generals win it. So good old MF Michael Fletcher. Final week of the USFL regular season, and Pittsburgh and Jersey starts it off on Saturday.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I'm also going to say that I also believe New Jersey is going to win this one as well. There's really nothing more to add, so Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I got New Jersey winning this one as well. So yeah, there's nothing more to say. So let's on to the next game.
which MF will start off on, and it's only fitting because it's his team, the reigning, defending, undisputed USFL champions, the Birmingham Stallions, heading to the Liberty Bowl in Memphis to take on the Memphis Showboats, 4 p.m. on Saturday on Fox. Birmingham opening up as a 4.5 point favorite. MF, your Stallions, man, they locked up a playoff berth and home field advantage in the playoffs and now have an opportunity to win the South Division on Saturday. They win, you get to add another championship to what could be a trophy case for those Stallions.
Yeah, definitely, no, without a doubt, no problem if they do. They already have guaranteed that they will be the home team for the South Division Championship game. um, and that gives them the right to play for the USFL title. If they do, it'll be a great win, no doubt about it. At the end of the day, you just got to continue the body of work and see how it plays out. I kind of feel like, Memphis has been a good team all year. They're actually looking to try to get that little measure of revenge, like you say. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel like Birmingham will figure it out. Look, they're not gonna beat you, or they're not gonna ash. There's gonna be some moments where they're gonna look good, and then there's gonna be other moments where they're probably not gonna look as great. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think Birmingham will win it. There's really nothing more to add. And Michael Bullock, Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
What game are we talking about here?
Birmingham and Memphis.
Yeah, I got Birmingham winning this one as well. I mean, I expect them to end this on a really good, and I expect them to go into the playoffs as I think they're going to be the favorites to maybe repeat, but we'll wait and see. So, what's yours, Florio?
As I just mentioned, the Stallions locked up a playoff berth and home field advantage in the playoffs, but have an opportunity to win the South Division on Saturday. Birmingham had a rough first half against the Gamblers last week, but exploded in the second half en route to a 23-point win. Stallions quarterback Alex McGuff had a couple of turnovers against Houston, but he didn't let those miscues derail him from throwing for 208 yards and producing 3 total touchdowns. Showboat signal caller Cole Kelly struggled last week against the Breakers' tenacious defense. The first-year starter threw 3 interceptions and only completed 56.1% of his passes for 224 yards. Kelly was also sacked 5 times, as Memphis's offense couldn't get anything positive going through the air or on the ground. Nevertheless, the former SELA standout should bounce back this week and make some plays against the Stallions defense that gives up its fair share of points. Memphis won't get boat raced by Birmingham as they did in week 2, 42-2, but the Stallions will pick up the win as they move closer to their second straight USFL title. Birmingham wins. Final score for me, 24-17. Birmingham over Memphis. Now to the Sunday action. New Orleans Breakers squaring off against the Houston Gamblers Sunday at 2 p.m. on NBC. And the New Orleans Breakers opening up as a 4-point favorite. Michael Bullock, who you got here between New Orleans and Houston?
Yeah, I got New Orleans winning this one. So it's yours, Florio.
All right. When these two teams played each other in week 2, the Breakers won 38-31 in a high-scoring affair. New Orleans running back Wes Hills went off for 110 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on 18 carries, while Houston quarterback Kenji Bahar threw for 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Gambler fans hope Bahar's turnovers don't become an issue again after last week's interception and fumble, the latter of which was returned for a touchdown. The Breakers will try to rack up a few more turnovers after they had 5 takeaways in last week's win against the Showboats. New Orleans will also look to better protect quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson, who was sacked 4 times. If the Breakers can keep the pocket clean for MBT, he should be able to do some damage against the Gamblers secondary, which will be missing safeties Andrew Soro and Manny Bunch. As for the Gamblers, they must lean on star running back Mark Thompson to carry them, as Behar has thrown 3 interceptions in the last 3 games. Thompson should do some damage on the ground, but at the end of the day, the Breakers have the better quarterback matchup, giving them the play. New Orleans, I got New Orleans winning. Final score 27-21. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, I also got the Breakers. Um, with the way that they've been playing, I kind of feel like this is going to be one of those where it should be an easy win for them. Like you said, as long as they can protect their quarterback and everything else, I think they'll get the job done. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
And the final game of the regular season, Sunday night, 7 p.m. over on Fox, features the Philadelphia Stars squaring off against the Michigan Panthers. And no spread, it's a pick 'em. In the final game of the regular season, the Stars will try to clinch a playoff spot for the second straight week with a win over the Panthers. Michigan could have punched their ticket to the playoffs last week had they defeated the Pittsburgh Maulers combined with a Philadelphia Stars loss. However, Josh Love played horribly, completing 7.6% of his passes for 233 yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. In addition to advised turnovers, Michigan, playing without Reggie Corbin, managed just 50 rushing yards. If Corbin plays this weekend, it should give the Panthers a significant boost against the Stars' run defense that just gave up 3 scores to Generals running back Darius Victor. As for Philadelphia, it got down early last week due to turnovers and nearly completed a furious comeback. Quarterback Case Cookus was under constant pressure but made plays in the passing game. The offensive line must be better this weekend as the Panthers' front seven is ferocious and tied for first in the USFL in sacks at 24. It will not be a pretty game, but the Stars have the better quarterback and playmakers on the perimeter to get back to the postseason for the second year in a row. Philadelphia Stars win the game 21-18 over the Michigan Panthers. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, with everything right now on the line, playoff spot on the line, you kind of feel like Philadelphia should be able to get this game. Michigan's going to make it interesting. They're going to make a game out of it, but I just feel like Philly's going to do it. I think they're gonna get into the playoffs. So give me Philadelphia to win it. Nothing more to say. And Bullock, I give it to you, Bullock. So Bullock, I got Philly.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Philly to win this one as well. I mean, like you said, Michigan had their chance, and yeah, I think this is gonna be tough for them. So I got Philly winning this one as well. So yeah, that's it. So let's move on, Florio.
Normally, when you hear the words Mikey's mindset, you think our Talking Wrestling TXN shows. Whether you think of his show, the like a Wednesday Night Madness or a Cerebral Smack Talk, but it's going to bring you the Mikey's mindset TXN Sports World style. MF's got cool stuff for us here. MF, you're gonna let us know about the big three that just down. I know you also have huge news in the world of boxing. And then for your recap of UFC 289, and I know you wanted to share some thoughts on the retirement of Amanda Nunes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mikey's mindset, TXN Sports World style, MF, front and center.
Yeah, here we go, guys. So as you guys know, one of the big things that we always like to do is that during the off year, we do the big three, and that's going to be something that will be brought up during the summer. So the big three starts very very soon. As a matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, we will be jumping it off, and guys, it will start on June 25th from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And it will be exclusively on CBS and Paramount Plus. They will be the official home of the Big Three, as always. And this year it's going to be big. So what they did was they did the Big Three draft that went down on the second about a couple of weeks ago, and they held it down at the Microsoft Lounge in Culver City, California, and here are the results. So, as many of you guys know, in the Big Three, the reigning champions, um, do not get to pick or get any teams because they are the reigning champions. They don't have to basically do anything. Trilogy were the reigning champions. That means they do not get to do any draft. They keep the team as is, complete. So, with that said, Here are the draft and the official teams for the Big Three competition. All right. So we started off round one, the Ball Hogs, and they selected DeJuan Summers. In the second overall pick went to the Triplets. They got Larry Sanders. Third was Bivouac. They got Ryan Hollins. The Enemies, their first round pick was Quincy Miller. The Ghostballers got Darnell Jackson. The sixth, Anthony's Threes Company, Hollis Thompson. Then we had Tri-State with Devin Ebanks. Number 8 in the first round was Dominique Johnson going to the Killer Threes. Number 9, the Aliens, they selected Giannis Tamia. And number 10, Three-Headed Monsters got Jordan Adams. All right, now in the second round, Ball Hogs went and they got Jalen Johnson. Then in the second round, Triplets selected David Wilkins. Then we had Bivouac getting Shannon Shorter. Enemy selected Jordan Crawford. The Ghostballers got Charles Garcia. Then we had Three's Company got Eric Moreland. With the 7th pick in round 2, Tri-State got Ray Nixon. With the 8th pick was the Killer Threes. They got Javier Carter. The Aliens with their 9th pick got Alonzo Gee. And the final pick in round 2, Three-Headed Monsters had Robert Dosher. All right, here we go, guys. And now here are the teams for the Big Three competition. Three-Headed Monsters, head coach by Reggie Diaz, and their team. Captain Rashad Lewis, co-captain Reggie Evans, co-captain Kevin Murphy, with, of course, Jordan Adams and Robert Dosher. The Threes Company, head coach by NBA star Michael Cooper. And here are their team. Captain Mario Chalmers, co-captain Michael Beasley, and co-captain Brandon Rush, with Hollis Thompson, and Eric Moreland. The Aliens, head coach is Rick Mahorn. Captain is Dasan Bullet. Co-captain is Tomas Ivachev and Corteza Muwasi. Of course, with Giannis Tamia and Alonzo Gee. The Ball Hogs, which is head coach by Rick Barry. Captain Leandro Barbosa. Co-captain Jody Meeks and Jeff Ayers. DeJuan Summers and Jalen Johnson is the other members of the squad. Bivouac, head coached by Gary Payton. Captain Gerald Green. Co-captain Corey Brewer and co-captain Garland Green, with Ryan Hollins and Shannon Shooter. The next team, the Enemies. Head coach is Gilbert Arenas. Captain of the team is Nick Young. Co-captain Isaiah Austin and Elijah Stewart, with Quincy Miller and Jordan Crawford. Ghostballers, head coach by the Iceman, George Gervin. Captain Michael Taylor. Co-captain Chris Johnson and Jonathan Simmons, with Daryl Jackson and Charles Garcia. And we got the Killer Threes, head coach by Charles Oakley. Captain is Franklin Sessions. Dante Green and Josh Powell are co-captains, with Dominique Johnson and Javier Carter. Power, head coach by Nancy Lieberman, captain Katino Mowgli, with Royce White and Akil Mitchell. The two members of the other team, Glenn Rice and TJ Klein. Then we had was Tri-State. Head coach Dr. J. Julius Irving. Captain Jason Richardson. Co-captain Justin Dittman and Deshaun Stevens with Devin Ebanks and Ray Nixon. Trilogy. I should say the next team that we'll have is the triplets. Head coach by Lisa Leslie. Captain Joe Johnson, Jameer Pargo, and Jeremy Pargo, co-captains, Larry Sanders and Damon Wilkins. And then, of course, the reigning and defending champions, Trilogy. Head coach is Steven Jackson. Captain James White with Amir Johnson and Earl Clark as co-captains. Isaiah Briscoe and David Hawkins. That is the team. That is the squad. And like we said, we will have this going down. It will begin, guys, when we do it very soon. Like we said, Big 3 starts on June 25th from Chicago. So with that said, look, let's go into boxing quick. So this past weekend, Teofimo Lopez was fighting, and he went up against. Oh, I just had him just a second ago. Yep, here we go. Teofimo Lopez. He went in and he went up just recently and just fought against and just went up against Josh Taylor. They fought at the Hulu Theater in Madison Square, adjacent of Madison Square Garden. And what a game it was. A great matchup, but it was Lopez. Lopez dominated the fight. He might have lost early on, lost the first couple of rounds, but then came back and dominated, winning the matchup. It was an incredible performance, to say the very least. So Teofimo Lopez winning that fight. Like you said, now, Anthony, you alluded to it. UFC 289 that went down this past weekend from Vancouver at the Rogers Arena. And here's the main card. It was Marc-Andre Blantiquet getting a unanimous decision over Eric Ayers. Then we had Danny Ing. He won his fight by unanimous decision over Nate Lavador. Mike Millett getting a submission victory over Adam Foote. And that was in the second round at 106. Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush absolutely dominated this fight, finishing it off 4 minutes and 10 seconds into the first round, winning the fight by TKO due to strikes. And then, of course, the main event, Amanda Nunes versus Irina Amia. And Amanda Nunes dominated, winning the fight by unanimous decision. It wasn't even close, guys. She absolutely dominated. There was no doubt about it. It was an easy victory, to say the very least. But then after that, she announced that she was retiring from the UFC. It was an unfortunate situation. My heart broke for her. But she's going out on top. She's without a doubt one of the most dominating and one of the greatest women's fighters of our time. Amanda started out basically like everybody else, just looking to make the big name. Then she dominated, basically ending the career of Ronda Rousey. Then she destroyed Chris Cyborg, and that's when the legend of the Lioness began. She basically became the most dominating female in all of UFC history. And yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So it was an incredible performance, one of the greatest of all time, and there's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, thank you for the time, and it's all yours.
Well, we have one last order of business here tonight. Michael Bullock, front and center. Come on in as you close out this edition of TXN Sports World tonight. A couple of weeks ago, Michael Bullock and our dear friends from our group outing crew took part in the Special Olympics State Summer Games just 2 short weeks ago at the University of Rhode Island. And Michael Bullock, and ladies and gentlemen, take a look. Take a look at that right there. I don't know how good your math is, folks, but I believe I see three of those things, right? 3 gold medals right there from our own Michael Bullock, and represented TXN Sports World as only he could, and we know he would, and we knew he would. So congratulations there, Bullock. So come on in, my friend. As you main event this very special TXN Sports World here tonight. 2 weeks ago, you and our dear friends from the group outing crew returned to University of Rhode Island for the first full state summer games in 4 years after 3 years worth of COVID restrictions. How good did that feel for you and everybody else?
I mean, everybody was just happy to be back to the full 3-day weekend. I mean, we did return to URI last year, but it was only for one day. But just to be back to the full 3-day weekend, not only with the competition, of course, with the Friday night opening ceremonies and the athletes staying in the dorms. Weather, unfortunately, dampened some of it. I mean, we had to move the opening ceremonies inside to Keeney Gymnasium. Of course, Mike Montecalvo was the MC, and the other MC was one of my teammates from the Rhodey Rangers, Sarah LaBreche, and she did a really good job co-MCing. I mean, and we got to hear from Ed Pacheco, the president and CEO of Special Olympics Rhode Island. I mean, going on his first year and as the president and CEO, marking 1 year since becoming the president and CEO. I mean, the competition obviously was really good. I mean, like you said, our friends did really well in some of their events. Of course, me with the 3 gold medals. Of course, I did the 100-meter run, the 200-meter run, and the 4x100 relay. Mary Ellen Powers, of course, she got a 5th-place ribbon and 2 bronze medals, I should say, in the relay, the 100-meter backstroke, and the 50 freestyle. Ryan Avedijan actually did something different this time. Normally he does powerlifting. He actually did bowling this time, and Brian Keenan he got some medals in some of his track and field events. He did like the 800 meter and the shot put, but of course we had Channel 12 personalities there at Olympic Village. I mean, we had lots of fun activities there, and Hasbro was one of the big sponsors of the Special Olympics Rhode Island State Summer Games, and of course one of the big highlights of opening ceremonies is of course the torch, of course the flame, which is the symbol of the flame of hope, being carried into Keeney Gymnasium to basically start the State Summer Games. And of course, we had the dance on Saturday night inside Keeney Gymnasium, and it was a country theme. So, I mean, it was just good to be back to a full weekend. First time since 2019. 2020 and 2021, we had virtual summer games. Last year was only for one day, but back to the full weekend. And of course, the other big highlight from that Saturday night was the motorcycles coming in. So, I mean, Special Olympics Rhode Island definitely did a lot to make this weekend happen. And of course, the games management team, the University of Rhode Island, definitely a big shout out to them for putting this all together to make it. I mean, for doing this for so long, and yeah, and on the flip side, of course, we actually have some people from Rhode Island that's actually overseas right now in the taking part in the Special Olympics World Summer Games in Berlin, Germany. Um, we have an athlete named Brian Johnson and his Unified partner basically going and competing in Unified bocce for Special Olympics Team USA. And one of the guys that works at the office, Adam Johnson, he is going as the assistant golf coach for Team USA, and my girlfriend Mary Ellen Powers. Well, she's not competing, but she's actually taking part in the Global Athlete Congress. She's basically doing a presentation of something new that we just started at Special Olympics Rhode Island. It's called Athlete Leadership University, and what it is, it's a new way of teaching athletes how to become athlete leaders, whether it's an athlete spokesperson or an athlete representative serving on committees like me being on the an athlete representative on the board of directors, um, or being a healthy messenger. Uh, so it's a unique way of doing it. It just started earlier this year. I mean, we went through the first semester. The second semester is going to start in late August, early September. So it's a pretty unique way of getting athletes to become athlete leaders, and I really think this is going to work out. And with this presentation, I'm sure that Mary Ellen's going to make all of Rhode Island proud, and I'm sure those not only from around the U.S. but from around the world will be impressed with it. So good. So and of course, Tracy Garabedian is going as her mentor there. So congratulations to all who are competing, and you can actually catch the opening ceremonies of the Special Olympics World Summer Games Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock on ABC. So yeah, those are the things I wanted to bring up. So uh, it's just a fun weekend. It was a fun weekend. Just good to be back to a full 3 days. And any quick thoughts, guys?
Well, first things first. You represented TXN Sports World as only you could, and like we knew you would. I mean, 3 gold medals. That's awesome. We're most certainly happy for you and proud of you as you add to your growing trophy case there. Our Indians, they sounded like they did just as well as you, which is great. And I mean, I'm just happy for you guys. I mean, I know the last 3 years were not easy. The previous 3 years were not easy for you guys, especially with all those COVID restrictions and the whole nine. But I know it had to be a great thrill for you, Bullock, to be there for the whole 3 days this time around for the first time in 4 years. I mean, that's that made me very happy about it. And
It's not just me. It's all the athletes that were just so excited about it.
of course, absolutely, and I couldn't be any prouder of you and all of our friends in our group outing crew, and they represented like I knew they would, and you know, and the world games coming up, and everybody there best and for a safe home, and you know, we'll we'll take it from there. MF, did you have a quick comment before we take it home here? I'm guessing probably not. So, but all right. So with that, that will put the bow on this edition of TXN Sports World. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. Now, normally we would say tomorrow night the Cerebral Smack Talk. No, that's not anymore. At least not for right now, because starting on this Saturday night at 10:30 will be the premiere of the brand new Saturday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, where we will review Friday Night SmackDown and the debut episode of AEW Collision. And that will be hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Saturday night, 10:30, Braves Fan 95. Same show, different night, and a new show. No more Rampage. We're not doing that mess show anymore. But it's going to be all about SmackDown and Collision. So that'll be Saturday night, 10:30. Monday night, 11 p.m., right back here on the Tone 25, Ridiculously Raw. Monday Night Raw as always, and of course the return of my traditional Tony's Take with Impact Wrestling and NXT Level Up. And then Wednesday night we have Wednesday Night Madness. It'll be hosted by good old Michael Fletcher. As we will have NXT part of the two Old Rush, and then from there we will have Dynamite, which will serve as the show for Forbidden Door. So we'll get into that. And then that'll be on Wednesday next week. TXN Sports World. MF, maybe you'll have a preview of the opening weekend action of the Big Three. We'll start up the Big Three coverage next week, so MF can set the table for that. We'll all preview the USFL playoffs because I know those go down next weekend as well. And of course, I mean, those are the two big selling points. If there's anything else, we will certainly add to it if anything else calls for it. And then that's pretty much it. And then that's pretty much it. So until Saturday night for the premiere of the Saturday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF Channel, Braves 95. It's Anthony Florio here for Gorilla Michael Fletcher, Bullock, and in spirit, of course, always and forever, the First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up fortune style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday, and or have a blessed couple of days, rather. And until Saturday night for the Saturday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.